Hey guys, welcome back, it's Ripe again. In today's video, my neighbor demands that all farmers must join the local homeowners association. When we refuse to sell our property, she turns our lives into a living HOA nightmare. Let's dive right into the video. The first one is a revenge story about why you should never steal someone's work or claim credit for it. It starts like this. This was a young woman who only got her job, especially made for her, because her dad was golfing buddies with our CEO. She regularly blamed her team for her numerous mistakes and took all the credit for their hard work. Let's call her Karen. I used to do trade shows and after the fall season would be back in the office and create a comprehensive report on the results of the shows, normally 15+ pages. The Veeps always wanted paper reports, not attachments, so I normally printed them out and distributed them personally to the staff. I handed Karen her copy as we passed in the corridor and then watched her in sheer amazement as she marched straight into the CEO's office and said, I kid you not, "Here boss, I just put this together for you." Just stunning. The report was all about trade shows and she was not even in the same department. Cue the revenge. I marched in there right after her and said, "Oh Karen, I just realized that my report has some numerical errors. Let me have it back and I'll get you a revised one." All the while staring at the CEO with a slightly raised eyebrow. As I left, I heard the most wonderful words from the CEO. "OP, would you please close the door as you leave?" Karen came out about 5 minutes later, looking like a ripe tomato. I could not resist asking, "How was your little tete-a-tete with our boss?" And yeah, ripe stars, I would say that Karen definitely deserved that for stealing OP's work. Anyway, the next one is the title story and it starts like this. I am slightly concerned that these HOA Karens are getting more aggressive and possibly a tad bit smarter. Take the Karen that runs the HOA in my neighborhood for example. She is a total tool and looks like she robbed a clown for his makeup. On the surface, not a threat in the slightest, but ended up getting an idea on how to get rid of people that didn't want to be in the HOA. My neighborhood has 3 farms and all of us refused to join the HOA when it started up in our area. And by the way, ripe stars, for context here, maybe I forgot to mention, OP is actually a farmer living there. Since we were already living there, we had a choice and chose not to join due to knowing better. At first she tried the typical ideas of persuading us to join and going on about all the benefits an HOA membership can bring, which is probably an open invitation to the gates of hell if you're interested. I'm a long-time lurker from these stories and I know that some of these HOA Karens like to harass you until you join, if for no other reason than to make them go away. That was not working for her though, and she learned of a different way to get what she wanted. It was a smarter move to try and get us to leave and then resell the land, which would force new owners into the HOA. Now, unlike a lot of people like her, Karen actually did not have any issues with the farm itself. If it got sold to another farmer, she wouldn't care, as long as they were part of the HOA and under her stupid rules. In order to try and get us to move, she wanted to make life as unpleasant as possible for us. This included things like trying to keep us up all hours of the night with phone calls and door knocking. Anybody who even knows a farmer can tell you sleeping at night is sacred to most of us. Our work is exhausting, and while coffee is great, sleep is our best friend. The constant harassment of this is what caused one of them to actually crack and put his farm up for sale. She'd also harass us constantly by trying to sneak onto our farms and leave the fences open. Having to get animals back where they belonged and sometimes even back onto the property, and once she opened a gate, about 4 of my goats walked right out and wandered into town. This got people mad at me since of course they were my goats. Not wanting to hear about how I was sure somebody snuck onto the land and opened the gate to cause the entire thing instead. I was a sound sleeper and once I was out for the night, nothing was gonna wake me up until morning. That was a big failure on her first plan to annoy me out of my home. As for the second thing, I was a smidge annoyed of her letting my goats out to roam free. I have a pretty good relationship with most people in the area, so while they were mad at me, it was not anything serious. Even the ones that did get very upset about it didn't bother me. I don't care what other people think about me, so they can hate me all they want, I have thick skin. Karen, though, was clearly getting frustrated that none of her attempts to get me out of my home were working. This is where any intelligence she might have had went right out the window. I was taking care of my horse when I heard Karen screaming my name at the top of her lungs. It was like somebody was being murdered, it was so loud. I went over to see what the hell she wanted this time and found her sitting on my tractor. At first I thought she was trying to steal it or break it or something, not what she ended up actually doing though. She started driving my tractor right towards me with the intent to run me over. I have no idea how she assumed killing me with my own tractor would cause her to win in the end. I wasn't gonna think about it in that moment though, and instead feared for my life like any sane person would. I also question now after the fact how she learned to drive a tractor so well, but that's a mystery for another day. She did not know that, of course, that I would know my own machine better than anybody else. This included a spot near the front that I could step up on. When she got close enough, that's exactly what I did, and now I was standing out of danger and riding along on her crazy trip. She wasn't stopping, so I had no choice but to slowly shimmy my way over to where I could climb and get to her without falling and getting run over in the process. When I finally got in reach, I yanked her out of the seat and onto the ground where I followed up. She started trying to claw and scratch at me like a wild animal. Any sort of human element in her seemed to be gone and reasoning was out of the question. In order to stop myself from getting hurt or her getting herself in more trouble, I knocked her unconscious. It was not my finest moment, but it really had to be done given the circumstances. Now, my farm has cameras just in case something happens and I need to see what the animals are doing. This meant that I had footage of the entire thing from her trying to run me over until I knocked her unconscious. So when I called the police and they came over, I made sure to give them a copy to see for themselves. I also told them about all the other harassment and her trying to get me to sell the property since I refused to join the HOA. I had her charged with trespassing and assault from trying to run me over. I also had a charge against me for assault that I hoped I would be able to get rid of once they saw it was actually self-defense. She did attempt in court to talk about how she was an innocent lady and I was a burly man that attacked her for no reason. The video does not lie and everybody could see exactly what she did to me. I'll admit that I was probably lucky I got away with my charge being dropped and it being considered just me defending myself against her. Karen, on the other hand, did not get off so easily and was found guilty of her trespassing and assault charges. I really thought she was gonna end up getting just let off with something like probation and maybe only losing her position in the HOA. Instead, she was sent to prison for a 5-year sentence. I don't think she expected it either, because she was just standing there in silence after that was ruled. I ended up getting a long apology letter from the HOA president explaining that they had no idea what Karen was doing and they did not condone her actions at all. That if I did not want to ever join the HOA, it was more than okay with them. Now, I have no way of ever knowing if that was genuine or their attempt to avoid getting into trouble as well. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt since at least they are going to leave me alone. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I would love to hear what you think about this story. Do you think that OP did the right thing or did he go too far in knocking Karen out? Keep in mind though, Karen was actually trying to kill him, or at least that's how I would argue. Anyway, if you enjoyed the story so far, please don't forget to like the video and leave a comment because that would help me tremendously. The next one is an ultimate revenge story. So I was working at a multinational firm and I did my final internship postmaster's degree there and they liked me so much they offered me a job as a junior consultant. Fresh from school, I couldn't be happier. As I was naive, I signed the contract without worrying about the little details. One of the clauses was that the leave notice is said to be 3 months. I raised the issue and they said it's not a big deal, it was just for compliance purposes to the parent firm. Fair enough, I started working, and in my second month, a colleague screwed up big time. He did something by mistake, jeopardizing one of our biggest accounts and one of the biggest banks worldwide. Easily could have made it to the news headlines. They fired the guy and offered me to work on the account. At the time, I had not enough experience to handle working on a team that manages one of our biggest clients, but accepted the offer anyway. I started working with the team located in a different country to work on the international bank, which has branches practically everywhere, so there were a lot of interactions with associates all over the world. They were very happy with my work and I even had my own team to work for me when I have to multi-account. The manager was very happy with me because I exceeded expectations and I bring more work fees to the firm. While I was waiting for a big raise and bonus in the yearly evaluation, the manager said that I did nothing special. I swallowed my anger and continued to work flawlessly, the same as the first year but with a big FU attitude. They even gave me other accounts and a team to manage, and because I'm a petty person, I I wasn't gonna let this slide that easily. The second year evaluation, because of my FU attitude, they tried to dig dirt on me so they can punish me, but they found nothing. The client was very happy with my work after all. The manager and HR director, HRD, went an extra mile to dig dirt on me from my team, but they found nothing. My academic background gave me a lot of tools to work with to manage. I was a good team leader, I trained them well, and I took responsibility for every decision I made. And then on the yearly evaluation, the managing partner MP and HRD said that I'm very competent and I did a flawless job, but I wasn't motivated enough to climb the ladder even further this year. The SOB gave me the poorest raise and bonus, even though they have a set of objective rules for that, and the defining factor is the client appreciation, which was excellent for me. The revenge part, it was like the stars were aligning for me. In that big bank account, I was the only remaining one from the team, and because it requires a lot of international coordination, not everyone could keep tabs on everything, and there was an account history to keep an eye on. We worked with a lot of high-profile associates around the world, and there is pretty much zero mistake tolerance. As I was the remaining member of the old team, the account associate requested me to come visit him in another country and express to my manager how much he relies on me on the upcoming season. Here comes the fun part. The hot season for work starts from January until late April. With 3 months notice, they hadn't too much to worry about, so that's what they thought. Late December, I resigned and demanded to perform only 1 month notice. I know their drill. They would say they have to consult the MP and they will get back to me with responses as soon as possible, but in the meantime I should train someone to replace me, and at the end of the month, once a replacement is trained, they would say, he said no, so you should stay 3 months or pay up the 2 months. They did this to everyone before me. As I had 1 year to plan my revenge, I set aside my revenge money. To take away their leverage, I waited a week and went back to see the HRD, and she said she is waiting still for the MP's okay. I went back to my office and I cancelled my 5 days paid vacation for the end of December. I had the following conversation by mail. Manager: OP, you cannot cancel your paid vacation and there's not much work to do at that time. You will take paid vacation like everyone else. Me: I won't take it. I'm not like everyone else. I'm on resignation notice. Manager: doesn't matter. You will take it nevertheless. Me: as stated by labor laws, the employee on the resignation notice cannot take paid vacation. Otherwise, it will extend their notice by the said vacation unless there is an agreement between the two parties on it, which on our case is not. With nothing left to say, she forwarded the email chain to the HRD and she sent me a mail to come discuss this matter with her. Me: I'm being professional. I demanded my notice reduced and a person to train. 1 week passed and no replacement. I'm still waiting for your feedback. HRD: we didn't find the right person to replace you and we are still looking. Me: I don't care that much. You said in the evaluation that I did nothing special and I don't have what it takes to climb up the ladder. HRD noticed my evil look. Sure, it was brutal how we treated you, but you cannot leave. You will stay 3 months and we have plenty of time to find someone to replace you and you'll train him. Me: that's not gonna happen. At the end of the month I'm leaving and you cannot stop me. HRD: in this case you pay 2 months salary, which is a lot. Me: no problem, I was prepared for that eventuality. My check is ready. She then panicked and she called the manager and the operations director OD to the meeting. Them: you cannot leave. Even with paying we have to accept, which won't happen. Me: well, as stated by law, section X, paragraph Y, I can in fact leave and I don't need your approval. The OD is a poker champion and he was in the meeting just to call my bluffs. I leaned on the meeting table to give him enough physical reading of my intention so he can see that I'm not bluffing. I said that I'm leaving at the end of the month and you have 2 options. Option 1, I pay you the 2 months but I will train nobody, or option 2, I'll train somebody to replace me but I won't pay you. So please choose wisely. HRD: this is blackmail. Me: you called it whatever you want, that's my offer. Take it or leave it, you have less than 3 weeks to decide. OD: how can we make sure you will train him well? Me: you don't. If you want the second option, I need a written agreement before I start the training. In the rush, they agree to give up the 2 months pay in exchange of training someone, and they find a junior without any experience to fill for me. I gave her a lousy training and after 2 months the client was not happy, he dropped our firm. To have some perspective, on the bank account alone I scored 2,000 hours with hourly fees of $200. They basically give up over 300k annually from that account because they thought it was wise to screw a junior staff on his raise and bonus for 2 years. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I gotta say, this guy got some serious revenge and I would not wanna be on the receiving end of this guy's wrath. Holy crap, I almost felt a little bad for the company, but then in the end you cannot really feel sorry for them. I guess you could feel sorry for the junior staff though, because they didn't really deserve to be in all of this. Anyway, now let's move on to the next one, which is a bonus story for the people who are so loyal to watch the entire video. Anyway, the next story is titled The Typical Walmart Karen. Okay, so I have an EBT card and thanks to the slow mail service I got my card with about 4 months of money on it. Yay! And by the way, Ripe Stars, apparently an EBT card is an electronic benefits transfer card, which I suppose replaces food stamps in California. But anyway, I was at the checkout, this young lady was in front of me and I noticed that she had baby food, formula and other food for small children. No snacks, just crackers and baby stuff. The cashier said to her, "I'm sorry, it says insufficient funds." She tried again, same result. Well, this woman looked as if the entire world was ending, so I said, "Excuse me, can you just add my stuff on and I'll just pay for it?" The young lady protested, saying she couldn't pay me back. I let her know that it was my pleasure and asked her if she had any food for herself. She just shook her head and said she would walk to the church for food. I asked her if she wanted to grab a few things for herself: frozen pizza, spaghetti egg rolls, cheese and crackers, bread extra, etc. Again, she said no, so I just put my bread, cheese and some frozen dinners into her bags and wished her luck. I finished up and went to replace my items. This woman who was making rude little huffs and puffs behind me begins to follow me. I get my items and go to the area where you can get lotto tickets and cigarettes. As I am paying, this Karen says, "You can add mine to her, seeing that she's paying for strangers today." I just looked at the cashier, who I am friendly with, and laughed. I did not really think she was serious. "Karen, what? You paid for her and you gave her some of your stuff." "I'm a single mom, I'm not rich like you." "Oh honey, you know nothing." I just shook my head. "Karen, hey, you! Excuse me." "Me, what?" "Karen, you are so rude." "Okay." Karen sputters. "Well?" "Me, already done." "What?" "Karen, she is paying for me. She's got my items." Cashier, "No she doesn't. Have a wonderful day, honey." Hands me my receipt. Karen, "Why are you so selfish?" "I need to feed my kids too." Me, "Sounds like a you problem." Karen, "Who do you think you are?" "I need help." Me, "I realize your problems are valid and I do sympathize with you, but I cannot help you, so please." Cashier, "Miss, this is the 4th time in 2 days you have been asked to stop harassing customers." Karen, "I'm not doing anything wrong." I noticed a large man with a badge, not a cop, I think it was loss prevention, approached and told her to leave. I was walking out when I heard her starting to screech about how she has no money for her groceries and she expected someone to help her. F you, Karen. And with this, we have reached the end of the video. However, if you cannot get enough of my content, please check out my endless playlist, where you can find thousands of hours of content. In addition, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel to not miss any of my daily uploads. Thank you so much in advance, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.